Hi guys, so I had my first game of Pillage yesterday with my son. Absolutely loved the game. Really easy to pick up and play, obviously. Especially now that I've got a lot of figures painted. Got two big armies. Well, I've got about four armies actually now. Tons of terrain and everything else. So the one thing we did have problems with though, it's the dice rolling. Obviously, the table or the board that I've got takes up the entirety of my table. So it's a case of where to roll the dice. So cunning plan. And I made this. It's a dice tower that kind of fits in with the rest of the terrain. Obviously, I could probably do a bit more painting on this, but it's a great way of, well, integrating something where I can roll the dice, not knock figures over, but the figures can sort of play around this as it is, well, it's a piece of terrain. So those eagle-eyed people out there will know that, yeah, you can see this is made from MDF. And I'm going to show you exactly how I made it. Obviously, I will leave a link to where you can get the file from. So the sheets of MDF or plywood I get from Amazon. I'll leave links to that as well. But as you can see, quite large. So these go on a larger laser engraver. And the problem with that is I work from a small desk in the corner of my living room. I can't fit the thing here, but what I can fit here is this lovely little thing. So this is the Algolaser Pixi. Again, all links down below, guys, so you can find out information about everything. Absolutely awesome little laser cutter engraver. This is a 10-watt version, so plenty of power to cut through things. But as you can see, fits on my desk, an absolute treat. And this is one of those definite plug and play jobs. It's only a few things you've got to plug in the back. Straight out of the box, using this within minutes. There was some packing stuff on the inside. That's about it. So I'm going to connect mine to my laptop, but you can also connect these to your phone and use your phone to sort of print bits off. Obviously, I don't really use my phone that much, so I don't really know what I'm doing with it. So yes, I'm going to connect this to my laptop because obviously, well, it's much easier for me to use. As I say, not a lot to do here. Again, this really is plug and play. A couple of things to pop in the back, the power and the lead to the laptop, push the on button, and away it goes. It's got some great safety features, this as well. So if you do have little ones in the house, first of all, you can put in a passcode. So you need to tap in your sort of security number. As you can see, I've gone for that good old favourite 1234. Obviously, I will change that at some stage. But it's also got a lovely clear or the red plastic going around it so you can't see the laser. But it also means as well, if this thing gets tipped or this cover gets lifted up, it automatically shuts off, which is great. It does have a hose that you can sort of feed out the window. I should have videoed or recorded the sound of this. I love the sound this thing makes when you open it up. Yeah, it's a big kid in me, but it makes a really, really fun sound. So you plug that in the back or sort of twist it in the back, straight out the window, and then there's no fumes at all inside. So real easy to use this thing. Fits on my desk, a treat. So the actual file that I got, I broke down to several bits because the file can be printed or cut in one big bit. Obviously, as I've got a smaller laser engraver, I need to break mine down into smaller bits, which I did in Photoshop, just because, well, it's a package that I use. So as you can see, each one of these, I try to fit in as much as I can, just so there's no wastage. And I've got my my logo there, which you may have seen at the very beginning, but I'll show that again towards the end. So it's a case of getting your file, dragging it into the software. I'm using the cheap GRBL Jobby What's It because, well, this is free, it's online, very easy to use, and it's simple, which obviously I love. So the first thing I do is, yeah, I do the bit where it shows you the outer edge of everything it's going to cut. And as you can see, it does go right near the edge because I've made sure to just fit everything inside the wood I need. So it does have a cutting area, I believe, of 100 by 100. And everything I love with this software is when it does get going, it shows you real time on the screen where the laser cutter is. So you can kind of sit and follow it. A bit sad, but it makes me happy watching this little line going around. So say this protective screen around the outside, really, really good, because as you can see, you can barely see the laser sort of thing in there. All you can see is a bit of a blurry dot. So great protection there. I do love these enclosed laser engravers because say for protection, you don't want to be looking at these with your eyes because it will give you, I forgot what the word's called. Let me know in the comments, guys. I always forget what the word's called. Basically, it's not good for you. It can obviously damage your eyes, well, permanently. So say this thing's 10 watts, so it can cut out pretty deep wood. I think it can do 15 mil. in like one pass. But yeah, obviously the wood that I'm using here, this is actually 2 millimeters. Normally I use 3 mil, but because I scaled everything down, I had to scale down the thickness of the wood just so that it all slots in together. And as you can see, it's got all these obviously little cutout bits, but need to be sort of, well, slotted in. The only problem I did find with a few of these bits of wood that I use, because it's so thin, there's a little bit of warping, which means it's not all level and flat on the base. So those bits that are nice and level and flat, obviously cut out a treat. This little bit here, I think it was raised only by a few millimeters, but it means the laser didn't quite cut through well, as neat as it should have done. But so that's more my error and definitely not the machine. And then it was a case of all those files I showed you at the beginning, just sort of going through and cutting out each one. Obviously, any bits that are left over on these bits of wood, I will keep just because, well, you can cut out small little bits and pieces. But what I love is obviously how intricate you can cut things. Obviously, you could use a scalpel to cut straight edges, but I doubt very much you'd be able to cut out a window like that. So yeah, laser engravers really are a great way of helping you build things, make things, especially the small ones like this that do fit on your desk, don't take up much room, but they do have power. So obviously these can be used to actually obviously laser engrave onto items as well. Not something I typically do because obviously I love these for the fact they can cut out wood in real nice sharp edges or round edges or whatever it is you can sort of, well, come up with really. So yeah, went through, cut out everything I needed, and then obviously get onto the fun bit of gluing it all together. And I'm going to use some PVA glue here because obviously this is wood, and that's kind of what PVA, well, PVA wood glue is used for. Could use super glue, but yeah, PVA glue is obviously much cheaper. It just takes longer to dry. But yes, I just love how everything's come out. And the fact obviously this is slotted in together, which is why it has all these little cutouts here and there. So again, it's like guys, link down below to where obviously you can get a file for this. But yeah, go check out Algolaser. As I say, awesome little laser engraver. These are one of these things. I think I first used one. God, it's got to be about 3 years ago now. It's one of these things you never sort of think you need, but when you've got one, the amount of things you can do with it is just amazing. And you will find yourself using it non-stop just because, well, it's a great tool to have, especially when it comes to sort of making miniatures or small miniatures, or in this case, a dice tower. So everything's cut out. Now it's a case of, say, gluing it all together. And this is why I love the fact you can obviously do these cutouts. Everything just slots in together, nice and neat, which is really cool. And if you've seen some of my other sort of videos where I've used laser engravers to make diorama display cases. So I say there really is there's no end of imagination to what you can make with these things. As I say, they obviously do perfect cuts every time. So if you are interested in getting hold of the Pixi laser engraver from Algolaser, I do have a discount code as well, which gives 10% off. And it's John10. But I will leave that detail down below because if you've got a memory like mine, well, in 5 minutes' time, you'd have forgotten what I've just said because that's how quick my memory goes. So gluing it all together, yeah, obviously the only tricky thing about using PVA glue, it does take a while to dry. So this is where you almost need more hands than you've got, just so you can hold all the pieces together because, well, they will keep moving. But yeah, get there eventually. So say this is the bit that impressed me the most, the fact you can laser engrave or cut real small, fine, detailed pieces like like this window thing. I did make one a little bit smaller to sort of see how thin I could get. And yeah, you really can get them super thin. The only problem is you've got to be careful, well, not to break them yourself. So they cut out really well. It's just the handling where they fall to bits. So this bit, yeah, you can obviously cut the wood so it bends. Obviously, because I've shrunk this down, I put this in some water first, just to sort of, well, soften it even more. But yeah, the fact you can bend wood is great because I've also made books out of wood. Yeah, again, there's a video somewhere out there, guys. Go check that out. So the last thing I kind of wanted to do to this was put some bricks here and there, just to obviously give it more of a look that it is, well, it's a brick sort of tower. And yeah, cut out loads of these. Again, this is where this thing really comes into its own. The fact you can cut out so many bits in one hit. Again, you probably could cut the straight edges with a scalpel and get a reasonable job, but you'd never get the sort of real good, crisp straight lines like you do here. and the fact obviously you can cut out so many at once. So as you can see, yeah, painting wise, keeping it simple, primed it in black, dry brushed white. Yeah, I'm leaving it there. I could have gone on and sort of painted a bit more. The only thing I'm going to add now is some grass around the bottom. And this is something I do to all the terrain pieces I make, just so when I put them on my board, they do kind of blend in, well, blend in a bit better. But obviously, as well as cutting wood, yeah, I mean, you can cut a whole variety of materials with this or laser engrave into them. I've got some felt, obviously orange because, well, orange is my favorite color. I just love this stuff, and I've got a ton of this felt. So I'm going to laser engrave my, well, as you can see, my logo. But as with the other thing, I was doing the center line to cut things out. This one, I've gone the line to line, so it's basically going to whiz along like a typewriter from top to bottom. So the settings on this really are simple, guys. There's only two settings I mess about with, and that's the speed and the power. And it is a case of, well, messing about yourself, getting it to the right speed, right power. So in this case, obviously, I can cut out the outer edge, but not cut the, well, the inner bit out. And there we go. There's my ugly mug. Although this guy looks better than me in real life. And then, yeah, that fits in nicely. So I say laser engravers, honestly, it's one of those things you never knew you needed, but when you get one, there's so many things you can do with it, and there's so many things you'll find you want to do with it. And there we go. Yeah, my dice tower, nicely made, fits on the board. I say it's just a nice, easy way of rolling dice, because say this board takes up the whole of my desk or the table I actually play on. So there's no room for, well, anywhere to put a dice tower or dice tray. So it doesn't take up much room. As you can see, yeah, it works perfectly. Not giving me any sixes, which is a shame, but never mind. And there we go. So guys, check out all the links down below. Cheers for watching. Hope you found this video informative. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave comments, all that fun stuff. Another video going to pop up any moment on the screen. Give that a click, see more of what I do. And that's about it, guys. You take care. I'm off to play another game of Pillage because this game is awesome. Okay, cheers. Bye for now.